What's up, everyone? It's Matt Rosick. Next work in progress on the 160 of NeoGrade Sazabi. So the last one was hollowing out the legs, adding a tube, pinning all the parts on, and making routes for all the wires for the thrusters down here. So now I'm going to start working on the waist parts. So far, as I showed last video, I accidentally broke these two pieces apart because I had super glued them, but I went ahead and added pins and epoxy. So clamped those together for a few hours, and that's dry now. So there's a few things I can't do yet because I don't have the right magnets. I need to get some smaller magnets. I had some 1/4 inch, but I don't know where they are. They're somewhere in my workshop. But I need to get some smaller ones, like 3/16 inch magnets. So I'm going to put those on for the skirts. So like this, I want to magnetize this skirt for shipping. So right now what I'm doing is I'm going to drill the holes for the LEDs for these thrusters. Again, I've got a 11/64 drill bit in here, which is just the inner diameter of this housing. And I'm just going to drill slowly. Again, I don't care what the top of this looks like because this is going to be hidden when the skirts are on. So I like to kind of go back from both sides, try to center up that hole. Okay. I haven't drilled out the thrusters at all yet because I don't know what size LEDs I'm going to use. I talked to Joseph yesterday to see what color he wanted, and he hasn't told me what color LEDs he wants. I'm thinking like a warm white would probably be best for this guy. Again, so this one doesn't have the top isn't 100%. Like there isn't like on this middle part, there's a full circle casted. These don't have it. So I'm just gonna be careful and go slow. That's what I was afraid of. Okay. Okay. Now a little putty work to do here and there. Just from drilling holes. Okay. Got a little putty work to do right there on that spot. Okay, so now when I put this in there, the wires can run up on the inside of the skirt. I'll probably glue them down. I'll probably just put them in some black shrink wrap and just glue them down so they look like piping. And then there'll be a little plug on it so that those skirts can be removed for shipping. And then when this is all together, my goal is to have, I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do it. Gotta figure out where I'm gonna route the wires, because if this is on top, so this goes like this. I've got holes for wires there. I'm thinking I could come up through here maybe. Again, we want to try to hide the wires as much as possible. Okay, well, I gotta figure out how I'm going to route those, and then when I do that, I will show you what I did. So I'm going to drill out the next one of these. The front skirts, there's nothing to drill, or actually there's nothing to pin on these either. These are all just pressure fit. And I probably don't even need magnets on those. They just sit on there. And technically, these really don't need magnets either. The way they fit really well. But these could use a magnet. They're not quite as strong as their front skirts. The front skirts fit on really well. So I'm not sure if I'll magnetize those. And there's not a lot of meat. The resin here is really thin, so there's not a lot of meat for a magnet. So I think I'll just have those where those just slide on. And those will be fine. Let's see. So yeah. And then the back skirt, I got some of the parts over here. A lot of it doesn't really get pinned. There's two halves here, top and the bottom. This is like the internal structure, I guess, that holds everything together. I've just pinned and glued that together, so that's one piece. And I'll show you how that goes together here in a minute. All right, so this is how these front skirts go together. I'm not sure if I showed it in my initial assembly video, but it's pretty simple. You have this part, and there's a little cover for the just thruster of the vent. Just slides on. And these are side-specific left. Oh, that's the wrong one. This is good. This goes here. Just like that. And as I've been working on this, I've been going through, remember when I was showing you how I wash the parts, I'm going through and just cleaning out. If I see scribing residue on the panel lines, I've been taking that out, because even though I scrubbed them really good, doesn't mean I got all that dust out. And then this will it's not going to get glued on now, but it will later. And this just fits in here. Actually, you got to put on, I did that backwards. You got to put this together first, and then you got to put this in. Just like that, and that'll pressure fit. And then that slides on there. Just like that. Okay. Same thing with the other side. So there's no pinning on these. These just get pressure fit, and then they'll get glued together after paint. So that's those guys. I'm waiting for this epoxy to really dry more since it's 15 minutes. It actually says it takes 3 hours, and it's been about 2 hours now. I want to make sure that's 100% because I want to drill and pin this to the crotch area, and that'll get glued on eventually, but that just gives us some more stability later for gluing. So what pinning does, it gives internal structure, and it just holds pieces together while you're gluing and stuff like that. A lot of times pieces don't necessarily have to be pinned for them to work, but it's nice so you can work and see how things go together, test fitting. So that's what the main purpose of pinning is. It's really to hold things together as glue dries. So yeah, that's the front skirts and the side skirts. That's how those go together. And the back skirt, you got this central piece, and then we got these guys here. I'm gonna slide this out of the way. I can move them around. I don't feel, before he was like glued together and pinned, I felt really sketchy moving him around, but now he's solidified, so he's not going to topple over or anything. The way these works is that these have these parts here. I'm going to go ahead and pin those. Actually, those pressure fit really well. Those don't need a pin. And then this fits in here. So I'll go ahead and throw a couple pins in this piece. Probably just one or two. It really doesn't need it, but just for assembly purposes and dry fitting, I can throw a couple 16th inch pins, like one here and maybe one there, and I'll just kind of help hold it together while I work. But this is really well engineered, just like that, and it stays together. It's not coming apart. It's just loosey goosey because it's not, it's not finalized. And then we have the detail parts, which are back here. 1 second. These and these. Okay. And these parts don't get pinned either. There's no reason to pin them because they've got really nice keys. Really nice keys here. So this is like a central piston detail. You can see they've got all these slots already cut in there or keyed in. That goes there. These guys come in here like that. No pinning. So my friend, buddy of mine, David Star Shadow, we can go way back with Gundams and stuff. That dude magnetizes everything. Like he actually has work in progress videos of his. He never paints anything. I've never seen him paint anything, but he likes the building process. But if you go through and look at his 160 Sazabi, everything is like all those internal structures magnetized. Every single piece has a magnet in it, and I think he just likes magnets because there's no reason to have everything magnetized. There's no reason you'd ever take it all apart. So I think he just likes putting magnets together, to be honest. And that's the back skirt, and that's how that works. Pretty simple. And then obviously I'm just gonna go on the back here. And I want to magnetize this guy because I do want to make this removable for shipping. Oops. Again, this is just a little loosey because I don't have any, nothing's pinned or glued. But it stays together pretty good. I'm going to pin those two top parts on. So this is kind of, a lot of it's going to be repetitive as far as like assembly and how things go together, but it's part of the process on these big resin kits. You're constantly building it, taking it apart, building it, taking it apart over and over and over again. That's why I know these kits so well, is because in the process you build it and take it apart 24 times as you're fitting pieces. So it's just, you know, it's part of the way this works in building these things. So then we got these two parts here. These, again, no pinning to just get pressure fit and glued in later. So I think I'm going to finish up today because we're getting coming up on 9 hours of work. The last thing I'm going to do today is I'll probably wait for this to dry, pin these parts, and then throw a couple pins in for this essential core part. And then tomorrow I'll pick up with trying to figure out where I'm going to route the wires for the side skirt thrusters, and then we'll really work on the arms and stuff and getting those. Those are already kind of pinned, but I got to figure out wiring for the how I'm going to route those for the thrusters and the shoulder armors and stuff. So we'll see you tomorrow when I pick the rest of this up. All right, so it's Wednesday, week 2 on the 160th and NeoGrade Sazabi. So I'm starting off today. Again, we got the legs kind of solidified yesterday and got some channeling done for the wires for that stuff. Now I'm going to work on the kind of figuring out what we're going to do here on the waist. So I've got a 1/2 inch hole here for wires coming up here. So when I put this on, when this gets glued on eventually, we got a nice solid key there. Let's get this a little closer so we can see. So the wires will come up. Will come up from the legs up into here. So power's coming through the feet, and all the wires are going to be converge in the torso here. So I've got plenty of room in here. I may end up carving this part out because I don't need it. I just have the hole there, so I may just get a Dremel and carve that out just so I have a little more space for wires, because that takes up a lot of space in this torso that isn't necessarily needed. So I may do that, just carve this out here today. So right now I'm thinking about gluing, again, thinking the sub-assemblies may have a little more masking later down the road, but I think just for assembly purposes now, I think I may glue this part to the lower torso. You can never say it, lower torso. It's a tongue twister for me. Because that way I can still have the wires come up and I can still feed them into here and have them come up here, because I gotta have the wires from the arms come into here too. So yeah, so all the wires are going to converge in the center of the torso here, and then I got to figure if I'm going to solder them or do micro plugs or what I'm going to do there. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I've got a pin. I went ahead this morning and got to put this on and put a 3/32 inch pin into the crotch area. So now that's just again, this is just for kind of pre-assembly, and as I work, it has really no structural stability, but it just helps it kind of hold in place while I work. And I may add another pin, but I got the pins going across here that I had to add because this part broke yesterday. So I may add another pin there, because as soon as I start putting the backpack and stuff on, it's going to want to start pulling up on this a little bit. That won't be an issue later on when this gets glued to the crotch, but as I assemble, it might want to pull back a little bit. So I think we're going to add another pin to here into the crotch, glue, epoxy this together. Got just a 1/16 inch brass rod again. It's just kind of to hold it in place while glue dries. And then once I get that done, I'll hollow this out, create room for the wires, and that's going to be loud, so I'll do it with the Dremel and a vacuum. And then when that's hollowed out, I can start getting the arm solidified and figuring out where to drill holes into the torso for the wires from the shoulders. So hopefully that explains my thought process, because my brain kind of goes all in different directions as I work as far as solutions and how to do things. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll come back when I get to show you something. All right, so a few things I've done. I went ahead and carved out that center area and just opened it up wide up, so now I got more access to wires. I added some magnets here for the arms. This one's protruding a little bit because I ran into the other magnet that was in already, but that's not that big of a deal. So what I did is I'll show you what I did. These are magnetized from earlier. I'll go like that. These pieces going like this, and I probably actually don't need. I think on the first one I don't think I even did a pin or anything, because it's engineered actually really well that the way these work. So I probably didn't need a magnet, but we added one anyway. So those go like that, and then this key is actually big enough to kind of hold the weight. So it's just a 1/4 inch magnet. Just kind of adds a little more stability to that joint. But like I said, I probably didn't need it, because the way it's engineered is as this weight pulls down, it stays in the key. So it's engineered really well. And I recessed that magnet a little bit so that the one that's protruding goes into the joint. So those have been magnetized now. What else? I added a second pin to this part here, again, just kind of how it stabilizes as I work. This will eventually get all glued in up here. But now I've got it's just a better fit, and it's not gonna wobble or pull out. So now what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to go ahead and epoxy, get this all apart. I'm gonna go ahead and epoxy this part to the waist. The waist to this part. Now I've got a little wobbly, because there's a pin there. I got it's a little wobbly front to back, so I'm going to clamp it down here and here, and I can actually access the joint in here with epoxy, and I'll just line that joint with epoxy and let that set up for an hour or so, and then we should have a nice strong joint. And I'll just have to mask just a little more masking, because typically I would paint this part and then put it together. But again, I want to avoid damaging paint later. And so I'm doing things a little differently than I did on the first one. I'm creating more sub-assemblies, and I'll just have a little more masking to do. But this is an easy part to mask. It's just black, so I'll just mask around that. So that's what I'm going to do now, glue that, and then we'll start working on the arms. Okay, so a few hours later, it doesn't look like I've been doing anything, but I have, trust me. I went through and I got all the arms pinned all the way up through the shoulder joints. I actually have the left shoulder all pinned. So I glued a few of the internal structures together. That's not going to get pinned. That's just going to get glued later. So I got a sub-assembly, which everything kind of fits on from there. And I thought about adding a magnet to the top tier, but I don't think I need a magnet. This has 3 positive keys. So this will just slide right in onto the top here. If I can get it lined up. Come on. Well, it did line up a second ago. Hold on. Wait for it. Hold on. This was lining up early, now it's not lining up. What the hell? Alright, what the hell happened here? Oh, there we go. Okay. So there's 3 keys, 2 on the side and 1 on the top. It just slides right in. Again, I put a magnet in this joint. Probably not 100% necessary, but it just gives me a little more extra holding power. So that's good. Well, actually I may need to beef that up. Oh, hold on, what's going on? Am I missing something here? This isn't going in all the way. Okay, there we go. Okay, it was like really falling down a lot. It's like, wait a second. It should go in a lot further. It just wasn't inserting all the way. It was confusing me. Okay. Because once this is in all the way, there we go. I didn't have it all the way into the shoulder joint. It holds it up pretty good. So I'm going to continue on the other side, and then I don't have enough magnets to magnetize the backpack to the kit, but I'm going to work on getting that all finalized and pinned. So just, again, slowly solidifying everything and strengthening it and getting it all beefed up. But we're getting there. Okay, so one thing I'm doing to the shoulder joint is that this was, even with the magnet and everything, it was still a little loose. And I think what happened is just from me cleaning up the parts, I may have sanded this male key a little too much. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a piece of, I think this is like 1/64 plastic plot plate, and I'm gluing it to the bottom side, to the inside part of this part right here. And that's just going to give me a little more thickness and a much tighter fit. So, and if I need to, I can always sand it down a little bit for clearance, but I did it on this side, and it's a much stronger fit. So again, just cutting this down to size, trimming it a little bit at a time here until it fits in here. And I'm going to glue it from here. Let's see, I'm going to trim that down to just a hair more. I don't want it to go up on the sides of that key. Just like that. Okay. Just take a little super glue. And use a toothpick to smooth it out and get a nice coverage down there. And then I'm going to come to the front edge of this part of the key, that part. I come out just a little bit, and then I'm going to sand that. I'm going to actually sand a slight bevel into it. I'm just going to push this down. Make sure I've got good contact at the bottom. Make sure it's nice and flat. Sometimes you got to do this. Sometimes you sand a little too much and you go, oh shit, no, now it's too loose. And you got to go fix it. So I got 1/4 inch magnets in there, and again, I don't remember what I did on the first one I did. I can't remember if I did. I must have put something in it, because my initial thought was I didn't do anything, but I must have had a magnet in there. Okay, now I come in here and trim this off. This blade's not very good. The first one I just glued it right to the edge, but this one I came out a little bit. Okay, there we go. Now I'm just going to take my sanding stick. I need to trim that a little bit more. I'm going to get a new blade. 1 second. Get a new blade and trim that. There we go. I don't care too much what this looks like, but okay. Now I'm just going to take this. I'm actually going to take my blade again. I'm going to kind of scrape this edge and create a little bevel. So the male key is not trying to go that hard edges and trying to. It'll have like 2 hard edges hitting, and it'll be hard. It'll be difficult to get it to just slide in to there. So I'm gonna sand a little bevel. And let's see if this is, let's see how tight this is. Maybe too tight at first. Okay, so I just got some, okay, see what happened. There's some glue in that corner, and I got it onto this part. So let's get that off. Let me sure I clean up the excess glue in here. Okay, now let's see if I'll go in. Okay, so that's a really tight fit, probably a little too tight. But I'd rather have it a little too tight and have to sand and trim a little bit and have it too loose. This is the side with the rifle, so this has no other support. And the other side has got the shield, but the shield's got a stand with it that helps kind of keep it solidified. What I need is, I need vertical strength. Okay, so I'm hitting, there we go. Okay, so that's a pretty tight fit. So I may sand that down just a hair. So I gotta account for paint and primer too. So that's really good there. So that's a really strong joint. Again, I might have to take a little bit more off after I prime and everything. But that's a really strong joint. That's not going anywhere. And see this little part right here, that's what really kind of keeps it, gives it downward support. But that's what I did on the other side too. So now we got some nice strong shoulder joints, and these shouldn't pop out. There will be a little play until I get this part glued to this part, but that's okay. So now let's put this on and see what we look like. There we go. And this part comes on over here like that. And we're getting there. So I'm going to put the other shoulder together. Let me show you how the rifle hand works. That's kind of cool. The rifle's not together. So the way this works is that it's in several parts because there's no way to wrap the hand around the rifle. So this hand comes like this. You have to, once the rifle's all together, this will get glued in here. I don't need any pins or anything. So that's going to that'll get glued in there. Then the thumb is a separate part, and it goes in a very specific way. That'll get glued in. Yep, not like that. I keep thinking it needs to go at a different angle, but it actually kind of comes down. Come on. Like that. And then the other 3 fingers key in right here, and that'll get glued in. And once that hand's all glued in, this ain't going anywhere. So that's how that works. It's pretty clever. So I'm gonna keep working here, and then hopefully when I come back, we'll have most of it together. Until I get more magnets, I really can't do anything to the backpack, to the kit, but I get the backpack squared away. But that's how that works. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna call it a day on this guy and the end of this work in progress. So far from the feet up to the shoulders, everything has been pinned or magnetized as needed, with the exception of a few little small parts like the little thrusters that go in here. Those will just get glued in later, no pins needed. And the little detail parts here in the waist, those get glued in. They're really thin. There's no pins or anything. So he's looking really good. So tomorrow, starting the next work in progress, I'll work on getting the backpack solidified and onto the body. And then I've got to figure out how to route wires for the thrusters on these two parts, and then I need to see if we're going to light the thrusters on the backpack. If that's the case, then I've got to plan routing for those wires through the back. If that's the case, my initial thought is I'll add some magnets up here to hold the backpack in place, and then route the wires through here. I'll drill a hole through the center part. Oh, I can't. I've got a magnet there. Okay, so I got to think about that. Alrighty, so I've got some thinking to do on wires for the backpack, but so far looking good. Nice and solid. Nothing moves, which is good. So we're getting there. Again, just a lot of parts, a lot of fitting and stuff to do, but he's looking great. So stay tuned for the next one. Thanks. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this work in progress up. It's Thursday now, so let me show you how the whole upper torso goes together. I covered the legs. So I've been adding magnets and pins. So this was pinned and magnetized earlier in the process. We'll come down here. Let's see. So I added pins to these parts. They're pinned in, but they're not glued, so I can paint them later. This is the right side, which means it goes over here. So this will go in here. Again, there'll be a few small detail parts that I don't put in, like these little guys here. Those don't stay in. Oh, I need hold on, I need this part first. Add a little pin to this guy. Again, a lot of this it's really just to hold things in place as I work for alignment and fitting. A lot of the stuff doesn't really need it for structure. It just helps with alignment and fitting things. The power cables go on the sides here, like so. And then this side, this came apart actually. I think I already showed how the arms go together, but those have kind of stayed together throughout this whole process. So there's been a lot of just kind of planning and fitting and all that fun stuff. So those go like that. Okay. Mentioned this is already been, so this little neck piece right here, I'm keeping this in because this is actually spreading I was heating early on in the process of fitting. This upper part was wanting to toe in a little bit, so I was having a hard time with this hinge, getting this hinge to work because there's so much pressure on it. So I tried heating it up and stuff, but actually this neck piece holds it in the correct position. So we're good there. As I mentioned, I hauled this all out and down there, so I got channels coming in from the legs up here. I drilled some channels underneath here. These are the channels for wires to the hips. You're not going to see that once everything's together. So once it's on the body, you're not going to see that. You can see my magnets kind of sticking out here. For the side skirts, again, you're not going to see that. And once everything's painted, I think it'll be okay. This goes together like that. Let's see. Then you got to put on. This is going to take a little while. This little hinge piece comes in. Down here, it's like a little sliding hinge thingamajiggy. I should take that off for now. And then this part gets put on. Let's see. I may have to, let's see if I can. Come on. I'm not real thrilled with how this part works. It's kind of hard to get it to fit. And did I just fucking break it? I sure did. God damn it. I keep breaking these little hinge things. So now I got to fix that. Son of a bitch. I'll be back. Okay, so I fixed that part. These things are really kind of fragile, so you got to be careful with them. So this fits in here pretty snugly into this piece here. And it's kind of a fiddly fit. So there's no like real good way to know how it fits exactly. So I put that in there, and it kind of feels like it sits, the way it's supposed to, and then you can slide it into here. Okay, I have this sand. Okay, I'll be back. I put a little glue on there. I gotta sand it down a little bit. Okay, oh my gosh, so I got that part in. This sits down here, and there's a little key down here, and this is what slides in and out. The only thing I don't like about this design is that there's actually a pretty good gap on the side here. I mean, it's not noticeable. I looked at the photos of the one I did 12 years ago, and it's there on that one too. And I looked at other builds. That's just how it's designed. Okay, so that goes on there. Next goes on the top of this. Okay, now we got to put this part in, which is this guy. Slides into here. Like so, and that flips around, and this is going to be removable. And I've got now I got to put in, before I do that, I got to put this hinge in right here, and this goes in. It's a little tricky. This goes in this way, and with that neck piece in there, this actually works really well. So there's plenty of clearance for this to move in and out. Okay, now that that's in, this will get put in. There's a couple, I'm going to pull this out first. Got a couple brass pins that will key in. It's a little tricky to get in, but it does fit. There we go. And then there we go. And it all locks in. There's a nice positive fit. So we got those, and that can close up there. Like so. There we go. All right, once everything's fitted, it actually fits really well, but it's very precise. Okay, now that that's on, we can put this piece in. Now it's not gonna stay in right away because it's tricky to get it in this little hinge. I'm not gonna really worry about it too much, but that's gonna key into that hinge and sit like that. There's that part. And now we can put on the sides. So I added some pins to these parts here, and I pinned them there, not glued yet. And of course I've got magnets there. And I remember I added some plow plate in there to close those gaps up a little bit because they were a little tight. Here's a good example because this one came out. So I added a pin to this, So when you're doing kits like this, you'll be going along really, really quick, and then you'll come to parts like this where it's just the fitting and working on fitment and all that stuff that then it just kind of grinds to a halt. Okay, so that's basically the upper torso. I've got some other stuff to put in. Then it pins into here, of course. Oh, you know, one thing I haven't done yet. Well, here, let's do this on camera. I'll show you how I add magnets because I haven't done that yet on camera. I need to add a magnet for the rear skirt, so let's do that real quick. While I'm here, well, no, let's do that because my ADHD brain working all overtime. I actually haven't been not sleeping well because I've been racking my brain over lighting this thing because I don't light model kits, and it's like really, it's very challenging. It's nice. It'll be nice when it's done, but it's very challenging to me to kind of figure out how to do it. So, okay, so the rear skirt, I'm actually going to probably take this apart because it'll be easier to work with. So let's get all this mumbo jumbo out of here for now. These work in processes are going to be kind of all over the place. Okay, so we can take all that off because I don't need that for adding the magnet. So I need to put a magnet in here and in here. So that's a nice, I could pin it, but I prefer a magnet. It stays really well on its own. A magnet's just going to help prevent it from falling out later. I just went and bought a bunch of magnets. I've actually found a store local to me that sells magnets. Like, shit, man, I wish I knew about you guys earlier. So I'm going to do a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. And that's a pretty big, strong magnet. So it's a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. That should work really well. And I'll just use a drill bit to make sure that it will fit there. That's going to fit in that key, okay? So I just like to take my drill bit and kind of eyeball. Okay, yeah, it fits there. So now what I do is kind of like pinning. I'm going to just kind of do a pilot hole on this guy. The 1/16 inch, I'm just going to put it right in the middle. Just going to eyeball it. Oops. It doesn't have to be in the middle, but it needs to be center left to right because I have very little room left to right for the 1/4 inch magnet. So I'm going to do that. Again, that's just to give me the location. Now I'm going to take some blue tack, just like when we pin, stick it in the key, put that in, give a little push, and now you can't see it in the camera, but I got a little peg sticking out right here. I think you can see it there. So I'm going to go ahead and, again, just kind of mark the hole. I don't need to go crazy deep. It's just a mark, just like that. Okay. So now I know where the magnet's got to go, and I get the right drill bit, 1/4 inch. Yeah, this is a pretty big drill bit, so I'm going to drill real slow. I'm not going to just start zipping at it. You want to go slow because it's going to take out a lot of material. I'll go a little deeper than I need. And then I can check the depth with one of the magnets. Go just a tad deeper, it looks like. Okay. And if you drill slower, the hole will be a better fit. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and glue this one in. And I'm just gonna use super glue for that. What I actually like to do, instead of using a magnet to hold it, I just use like the backside of a drill bit. So I'll just take another drill bit. And right now I don't care about polarity because I haven't put the other magnet in. Super glue. Push it in and then slide the drill bit like so. And then I can take a damn paper towel, wipe it, and I'll hit it with some zip kicker. And let that sit for a second. And now what I do is to check my polarity. I don't mark it with a marker or anything because it always confuses me. So I just take I put the other magnet on the drill bit, and if it's repelling, so that's repelling, I know I can push this into the other hole, and I've got it the right way. Because right now it wants to repel. So this means that this side is going to be in the other key, and this side will be exposed. So that's how I check my polarity. I just do that. That's repelling, so I know that's going in the right direction. So I'm going to come up here. Same thing. And before I glue it in, always before you glue it in, check your polarity one more time. And this one I'll countersink just a hair. And this one I'm gonna put the glue, since it's in the female key, actually put the glue on the bottom side of the magnet here. So that when it slides in, it'll coat the sides of the magnet. Just like that. And then I'm gonna, again, always one more time, constantly checking polarity. You do not want to dig a magnet out, it's no fun. And I'm gonna just hold that in place for a second. Slide the drill bit off. And clean up any excess with a damp Q-tip. Again, zip kick. Let it sit for a few seconds, and then we should be good to go. While that's drying, I'll put the skirt back together. And by the time that's dry, I can put the skirt on. By the time I don't put the skirt together, that'll be dry. Okay, These go here. There's no right or left for some of these parts. Actually, apparently there is. I didn't realize that. I've always gotten it right. The first time that goes there, this goes here. This goes here. Like that. I'll put these other parts on once it's on the back because it's hard to hold together. These go here. And then if we did this right, this should have a nice magnetic connection. There we go. Yeah, and I can feel it. So it's got just enough pull. It's a pretty strong magnet, and the key's pretty tight, so that's plenty strong enough. And we have 2 keys on the side here too for these other brackets to keep it at the right angle. So like that. I can throw these back on. These just sit on just pretty good, just like that. Okay, there are a couple of thrusters that go on the side here. I'm not going to put them on because they really don't stay on without gluing. They kind of set on there, but they don't want to. They like to fall off if you move this thing around too much. Okay, now we can put this guy on. And he sits nicely. Okay, so I did add magnets to the front skirts. See it in there and possibly there. Right. Yep. It goes there. Again, it's just enough. It's got just enough pull. It's not crazy strong. You don't need crazy strong magnets a lot of times, unless it's going to bear weight. These are literally just to hold the parts in place so they don't fall off if it gets bumped. Again, magnet there. Okay, side skirts. Same thing. Added magnets to the side skirts. Left. Again, just enough pull though. These didn't like to stay on because of the angle they sat at, so the magnets are necessary. But those aren't coming off now. Okay. Let's move on to the backpack. I got this. This kind of took a little bit today because I was kind of thinking about magnets and wires. So I do have 3 thrusters in the bottom here. Now I haven't drilled out the holes for the thrusters yet. I will tomorrow, but I've got some pins on the side of these pieces just to hold it together while I work. I thought about gluing this together as a sub-assembly, but I'm thinking I'm going to keep these 3 parts separate and paint them separately, even though they all go black. There is some masking in there. And then let's see. This part is this side. It's going to take a little. So assembly takes a little while. So when I ship this, the fuel tanks will be glued onto the backpack, and the thin funnel racks will be separate, just because of the shape. This can pack nicely this way, I think, without getting damaged. So when you're building this, when you're building models for shipping, you got to plan ahead. How's it going to come apart and how you're going to ship it. So I've got just enough grabbing those pins. And I added a 1/4-inch magnet there. I also got this big piece of which is the shield. I also had to build up the key on this because it was really loose. So I took 2 layers of that really thin plow plate and glued them together and thickened it up, and it worked really well. You can see you've got a magnet here, and I have a hole down here for the wires. As I said, I haven't drilled any holes in here yet. For the wires, I have to figure that out. But now this will go on like this. It's a nice, I probably could have gotten away without the magnet, but I just like the idea of the magnet on there. It gives it a little more, again, stability. There's a few detail parts in here that I'm not going to put in because they don't stay in without glue and they're not pinned. Let's put on this, let's put on the left arm. I didn't pin this wrist. I didn't pin this arm. It's just going to go in. I'm not going to tear the arm all apart because I don't want to. But Here it is. I don't want to take it all apart. Okay. Again, I added a little plow plate in there, and I've got a magnet. Oh, hold on, before we do that, we got to put on these parts. Now these parts just sit in place. I was going to think about putting a magnet in, but there's really no place to put a magnet, and there's no thickness for a magnet. There's really no place for a pin, so those are just going to sit in place. I'll ask Joseph later if he ever thinks he's going to take these off or not, because if not, I'll glue them on. The only reason you'd ever take these off is to see some of the details underneath here. And what you wouldn't see with these on is this vent right here. There's a little detail in the back. So if it was me personally, I would probably just glue this on and make this part of this whole piece. That's my opinion. So now we got a real nice fit in here with the magnet. It's a tight fit. Oh, that's the wrong arm. That's the right arm. That's why it's not fitting. Here we go. Left arm. That's why it don't fit. Okay. Okay. Oh, another thing I gotta do, I have to add a magnet for the shield. So let's do that real quick. Just when I think I'm done adding magnets or pin, I find something I gotta do. That's one reason this takes a while. Okay. I just have some blue tack holding this into place. For this shield, what size is that? So that's got a bracket. This bracket goes through the arm into the shield right here, and this just holds the bracket onto the arm. So I'm thinking I bought some. It's a 1/4 inch. Sorry about the background noise. 1/4 inch would work. Wouldn't mind something a little bit bigger. Let's see. 3/16 would be much stronger, I think. My 3/16 drill bit is completely dull. I don't know what happened to it. So the hole size for these that come on the kit, they're metric. They're not standard size, so I think 1/4 inches. Actually, that's not 1/4. I mean, what size is this? This is 5/16. Sorry, this is 5/16. No. What size is this? Damn it! Is this 1/4 inch? It is 1/4 inch. That's 1/4 inch. Okay, that one was 3/16. Yeah, let's do 1/4 inch. Sorry. So I'm gonna drill this out a little bit. Okay, and then we'll drill this out a little bit. Okay. Okie dokie, so let's glue that in. Okay. And then I'll again use the drill bit trick. Oop, that's not the right size, so we flip it around. Okay, it's repelling, so we know that's the side that goes in. Don't need a lot of glue, it's a pretty tight fit already. that. Little wipe. Little zip kick. We're good. Okay, so now let that dry for a second. It only takes us a few seconds to dry. When this armor gets glued on, this will have a nice connection now. Yeah. So that magnet's nice and strong, holds it into place really well. Okay, so now that's done. Now we're gonna move back up to here, putting this back on. 345 parts, guys. Every one of them's gotta be pinned, glued, magnetized, you know. Just when you think you got something done, it's like, oh, I missed something on that part. That arm goes there. This arm goes in here. I do have the rifle all pinned there. Get a nice tight fit. I added those little shims in the joints. Okay. These fingers aren't in right. These fingers aren't in. They keep wanting to fall out, so I'm just gonna leave them out. But I got the other finger and thumb in, which really actually hold the gun into place. And actually, if I remember correctly, it's better to put the gun on first, because some of these parts do like they touch. So like the gun touches the arm here, it rubs on the side skirt. So when you assemble these after paint, or when I assemble them for my client, it'll be a good idea to have some paper towels and just lay them over parts that interfere with each other. And I looked at my other build, like, okay, yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. So like, that's supposed to touch. Okay, so there's the arms and everything. So we're 22 minutes in, and this is all we've gotten so far. I did add a few magnets. The head I'm not gonna worry about. Again, that's just it's really hard to deal with right now. So the rest of the backpack we can put on. Fin funnels. This is, I believe, the left one. Nope, that's the right one. And I like them open, so we're going to open them up. Again, these aren't glued, so it kind of stays together right now. Not 100%. There's that. This one kind of fell apart. I'm taking this one kind of fell apart. But these go together like this. I showed this how these go together earlier. I'm not sure which part of the work in progress I did that, but. So we are in the very last phase on this piece before I tear it down, wash it, soak it in purple power, and start priming. So my goal is to have this all start priming on Monday. Okay, there we go. Okay, and again, I like it open, so we're gonna leave it open. Again, nothing's glued up here, so it's kind of wonky. Okay, so there's the fin, there's the backpack, minus the thrusters and stuff down there. Shoulders. Again, these fit in here. Yeah, I'm thinking, I don't know, I'll have to talk to Joseph. And then this goes here. This goes here. And that's that shoulder. Oh, this is, it's missing these thrusters. So I still have to, tomorrow I still have to drill holes for these, and I still have to decide where these thrusters are going to be the ones that are going to be, if you see any wires from anything, it's going to be from these guys. I'll run them up here, but there's no way to there's really nowhere to hide a wire between this joint. So there'll be a wire coming from inside the torso underneath the shoulder armor there somehow to light those guys. I still have to decide where to drill that hole in the side. There's no like place that's built in that makes really good sense to do it, so I've got to contemplate where I want to do that. But Joseph has decided to do like blue thrusters, which I think will look cool with the red. So I'm gonna get online. I found a website that I think has everything I need, and as far as they have everything I need. They have some kits and things. They have like some 4-light kits that are pre-wired. I'm gonna call them and see if they'll do a 3-light kit for me, so I can do 1 3-light kit here, 1 3-light kit here. I can do a 4-light kit on the legs. Yeah, so they got some cool stuff. I mean, it's all geared towards scale modeling. So that and that. And the last thing is the shield. As far as this goes. So let's get this all out of the way. And so I've got that kind of test fitted together. This thing is just massive. Look at that thing. It does have a little stand because the arm isn't strong enough to hold the weight by itself. I have seen photos of Pia's build where he has it without the stand. So I'm wondering if on that one he has the arm glued in, because without some serious support, there's no way. But this is, I've got some pins and blue tack on this thing just to kind of keep it together. I did do some assembling. I don't want to take it apart, but I did do some sub-assemblies gluing wise. So if I take the beam axe out, these two parts, mechanical parts, I glued together, and I glued this part to this. So there's like the whole core that holds together has been glued together. Because even with that, my masking doesn't change the amount of masking I got to do on this if I glue that all together. So that way, again, I can just work and test fit things. Oops. I've got little pins in these guys just to, again, hold it in place. If this is going to be the same color, I would just glue these together, but I'm going to paint those different colors. And just save a little bit of masking. Because we know masking is fun. Ah, dang it. Of course, now that I'm on camera, I can't get it to go back in. That's how it always works when I'm trying to film something and be time efficient. Come on. There we go. Just keep letting it fall out. Let's do that. Ugh. Come on, you piece of poop. Get in there. Oh my God. I'm determined to get this to get the full effect. That's the thing. That goes there. Come on. Hold on, let me come off camera here for a second. There we go. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then this is just, that stand is just blue tacked in, and then this keys into the side here of the arm. Like that. And just like that. So hopefully it doesn't fall apart. But there you go. So minus the head, everything is together. Just a really impressive piece. Let's get a measurement on them. I think it's 18 inches tall, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. This is the first time I've had them all together, actually. Minus the head and all the little detail stuff. Also, I got this neck piece here. I got 3 pins in there. This had to be removable. So, okay, so if we had to get access to the wires, we can. But I can't glue that in because then I can't get some other parts in. I gotta return a phone call here in a second. Okay. Alrighty, so I think the tallest part on this kit is the fin funnels. So 17 inches. Yeah, I thought he was 18 inches, so he's 17 inches tall. But there you go. So I'm not sure how long this work in progress is. I haven't even uploaded part 3 yet. But I think it's part 3 and part 4 recorded. So there you go. So that's almost 2 weeks worth of work. Sanding, cleaning, fitting, pinning, magnetizing, and adding wire, tubes and things for wires. But there you go. So stay tuned for the next one. Next work in progress will probably be me priming. I'll go over how I wash the parts. I'm a little more aggressive on washing parts for these kits. I do a soak in purple power, and I'll do an I'll rinse in the ultrasonic cleaner to get them really, really clean before I throw any primer on. Just because the amount of handling and masking you gotta do in these guys, I'm like neurotic about cleaning the resin. More so than when I do figures. So, but there you go. He's looking really good. So as always, thanks for watching, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.